What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and this is your match preview. It's Everton against Leeds, Goodison Park, 3 o'clock kickoff, Saturday game, tough game. And this game's a bit weird, really, because if this game was straight after the Arsenal game, I would have said to you 3 points, fairly confident. I thought we played really well against Arsenal. I thought we created lots of chances. I thought we were very good. Then we went to Liverpool, and the Liverpool game was a bit of an eye-opener, not in terms of the result, because, you know, we've seen it before. We go to Liverpool, we lose the game. It happens quite a lot. But the eye-opening thing was the performance. I felt like Liverpool wanted it more than Everton, and bearing in mind we'd just come off the back of an Arsenal win. Bearing in mind Sean Dyche is now the manager. It just surprised me a little bit. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's panic stations, because it's not. You know, I don't believe it should be panic stations, but I was disappointed. You know, I was disappointed, and I thought we would be more aggressive in the game. I thought we'd have a little bit more composure. I thought we reverted back to Frank Lampard tactics in terms of keeping the ball across the back, playing it into the middle, using a pivot point, spraying it out wide. But the ball just moved side to side for no reason under Frank Lampard, and I sort of felt like I could see that, certainly in the second half. Tarkowski tried to give Liverpool as many opportunities to score as he physically could. The amount of stray passes, Cody was poor. Mykolenko and Coleman got done all night from start to finish, and again, this was an area that he could have addressed. Ben Godfrey was sitting on the bench. He could have gone to a 5 if he needed to. He could have done whatever he needed to make us just a little bit more solid in the transition. He didn't. Demarai Gray, I felt like could have been a real asset at half time coming on, because I felt like in midfield we were being dominated anyway. You know, our 3 midfielders were being completely overrun by their midfielders. So why not just change that? Why not just take 2? We're still being overrun, but at least we've got a better out ball in someone like Demarai Gray, who's got the pace, and we didn't do that. So we go into this game in probably a little bit of a weird mood. I still look. We've got to win this game. We can sit here and sugarcoat it as much as we want, but just like Leeds, it's a must-win game. It's absolutely must-win for both sides, and there's so much tension on this game. You know, I've spoken to Leeds fans, I've spoken to friends who are Leeds fans. You know, you all know Connor at One Leeds. We've had a little chat this morning. We sent each other a few voice notes, etc. And we both have the same feeling towards this game. And it's worry. It's worry because whoever comes off worse, I'd probably say goes down. And I know that's a bold statement. I know there's lots of games left, but you've got to back it up. So I wanted to actually talk about Leeds first a little bit, and where the weaknesses in the Everton side will benefit Leeds, and equally where the Leeds weaknesses will benefit this Everton side. So let's get into that. Firstly, Leeds have got real pace in certainly in wide positions. Somerville and Willie Nonso, who has not had as much said about him as he should. This lad on the left-hand side, this Willie Nonso, is very, very good. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering his pronunciation, but he's very good. He's very, very capable. He's very quick. He's got a lovely turn of pace. He's got good skill. And he's got real ability to just cause Coleman problems. We know Coleman, usually against these tricky type quick players, is usually pretty good. But he got done against Liverpool by, yes, a physically better in terms of Nunez, or what, you know, however you pronounce his name. He got done. And my worry is that he's going to come up against another player who is equally capable of doing him. You then go over to the other side and they've got Somerville, who again, been creative, quick, scores goals, got an assist. Young lad, bit between his teeth, wants to keep the team in the league. And he's going up against Vitaly Mykolenko, who I'm just going to say, and actually a few people have now said it, enough's enough. He can't go forward. And whereas I thought he was an okay defender, I'm actually starting to think that he's not. So for £20 million, it was an absolute waste of money. And it's a signing that Everton shouldn't have made. to replace Luca Dean, who equally was not a good defender, but at least he could go forward. At least he added something. Everton at the minute look really weak down the left-hand side of the pitch. They look really weak down the right-hand side of the pitch. And as a result, it's putting extra pressure on Cody and Tarkowski, who literally have not done anything to fill themselves with glory recently. And then that adds pressure on Pickford. And we all saw what happened with Pickford on the Salah goal on Monday night, because it was a stinker. He's completely in the wrong position. So that was poor. You've then got our midfield, which ordinarily, I would say our midfield is good. I would say that it's very robust. I'd say it's combative. It's got a lovely bit of skill in players like Onana. It's got ball carriers. It's probably got everything you need to be a good Premier League side. But it's interesting to see when it does and doesn't work. And it's almost like some of the attributes that they've got are getting bypassed. And this isn't a criticism. But Sean Dyche is very direct. We all know that. You know, we saw it against Arsenal. Balls long over the top for Calvert-Lewin. He would run onto them, hold it up, play the ball into Iwobi or Dwight McNeil or whoever else had come up to support Lewin. We don't have that. Ellis Sims didn't really enable that. Malpay doesn't enable that. And I said it before and I'll say it again. Why get rid of Rondon, who is not a good striker? He's a terrible footballer. But at least he could hold the ball up and bring people into play. He could do it a lot better than the two that we've got now. So I got absolutely crucified for that. And sometimes you get it in the comments, you get it in the neck, you get it on Twitter and whatever. You don't know what you're talking about. Mike Malpay's a better striker than Rondon, etc., etc., etc. It doesn't really matter. The facts are Malpay can't hold up his own body weight, and most things bounce off him. He can be a little shit in the nicest possible way. We saw it when he come on against Arsenal. He was a bit aggressive. He was trying to win fouls. He did all right. People were saying it was a good performance for him. I didn't see that at all. So there's your Everton weaknesses. You then talk about the strengths. Well, the strengths, definitely the midfield. Iwobi is a good ball carrier. You've got a tactical manager who has experience in the Premier League against Skabala, who doesn't. So that is both a positive and a negative, because the negative is the fact that we don't really know what we're coming up against. Leeds have had two very decent performances against a Manchester United side that were flying. You know, they went to Old Trafford and were 2-0 up, and in the end they draw 2-2. They fall apart, but they were in that game for a lot of it. At Helland Road, they were 0-0 for 80 minutes, and then again they fall apart. The quality steps up and they lose 2-0. The difference is we don't have Manchester United quality in our side, and there's no point pretending we do, because we don't. So this game is definitely not about who has the better team, who has the better tactics. It is literally about who wants it more and how hard they're going to fight to get it. Because Leeds have got some quality players, we have some quality players. I'd possibly argue Leeds are more balanced than we are, but we have to be able to use the crowd, get in their face, get on side. We need to hope that players like Coleman has a good game, because if we don't and we concede first, we lose this game. The best we can hope for is a draw, because Leeds score more than us, but they also concede more than us. So Everton have to score the first goal, and in my opinion it needs to be early, probably first 10-15 minutes. Make sure the crowd is still on side, make sure it's still, you know, screaming and chanting and shouting for every ball, like it was against Arsenal. And Everton will get a result, but that's what we need to do. I also think you need to talk about the back four. I noticed this on Toffee TV, and I noticed Ped talking about it. Completely agree with his comments regarding Godfrey coming in, and he was right about Mykolenko. So, you know, let's not sugarcoat this anymore. Ben Godfrey's got pace, and what we got done by against Liverpool was pace. Ben Godfrey in that situation could at least have potentially made it harder. I'm not saying we wouldn't have conceded, but he may have made it harder. The simple fact of the matter is we've got no pace in that back four. Mykolenko's not quick, Coleman's legs are gone, and the two centre-halves are not fast at all. So Ben Godfrey coming in anywhere across that back four works for me. The other one that people have almost forgot, but I actually at this point would have no issue bringing into the side as a right back, is Holgate. Because Coleman has concerned me a lot this season. And yes, he's done all right in some games, but he's not good enough. And I'm not even saying Holgate is good enough. But the facts are the best right back we've got is currently injured again. Coleman's getting done left, right and centre, and he's going up against a player that can equally do it to him as much as Nunez did. I'm not saying Holgate's a better defender, but what I am saying is Holgate's a little bit younger, a little bit fresher footed, and possibly a little bit quicker, and can just get there. That's my concern with Coleman, but I'm not saying to make that change. I'm just... That's up for your debate. Personally, I still start Coleman, but I would be tempted. The other one is dropping one of the centre-halves. And again, Ped said this, I completely agree with him. He said about Yerry Mina coming into the side. Yerry Mina is a handful at the best of times. He's horrible to opposition. He's a menace in the opposition's box. He's tall, he's strong, he's commanding. He's exactly what we need. Now, I wouldn't necessarily have an issue playing three at the back in this game and having Cody as the pivot in the middle or Mina in the pivot in the middle and Tarkowski and Mina either side of him. I wouldn't have an issue with that. I still would start Godfrey at left back or even play Dwight McNeil as a left wing back. But I would do something that enables us to be more solid, because in the first, I think, 12 games this season, Everton had one of the best defensive records in the league. You move on 10 games, and it's still not horrendous, but it's not great. I think it's top 10 now. Leeds can score goals, so I just think we need to be solid. I think if you're going to play Garner in the middle of the park, he needs to do a better job, because he didn't track his runners. So there's big things at Everton that have got to be done. How do we beat Leeds? Well, look, they're 17th in the league for a reason. They're not very good. Patrick Bamford hasn't looked the player he can be since his injury, same as Calvert-Lewin for us. You've got Rodrigo, who scored 10 goals for them, he's out. You've got a lot of changes in that team. Weston McKennie, for example, coming in from Juventus, who he's looked all right, but he looks a little bit lacklustre Paxton-wise. I'd argue that he may not necessarily struggle for the physicality, but maybe struggle for the stamina for the time being, just so he gets himself up, because I have noticed in the last sort of 10 minutes of games, teams are getting more joy through the Leeds middle of the park, and that's where he's been playing. They've got Tyler Adams and they've got Aronson, so they've got players who have got energy in that side, but Everton have got probably their best position is midfield, and if they can control it and get players playing that ball through the channel or going long into a bigger target man. And what I'm saying by that is throw one of the central midfielders further up the pitch. Throw them up the pitch. You know, play Onana as a 10, play Doucouré as a 10. I know it's brave and I know it's a bit crazy, but Maupay can't hold anything up. And I really do think it's a bit soon for Sims. He didn't impress me against Liverpool. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, he's brilliant, he's a Premier League player, all of this stuff. All I'm saying is, I think he's probably not ready to be starting Premier League games. And his first game was a home game, an away day at Anfield. Ridiculous. You know, as we're breaking the lines, he didn't quite know where to move. You know, he has that opportunity in the first 5 minutes where there's a mistake from Matip. It goes between his legs. Takes an extra touch instead of just getting his feet out. Have that confidence. So I think there's areas that Everton need to play. Leeds will not be as compact as they used to be. They have started playing diagonal balls from, say, Ayling to Nonso, or Firpo doesn't really have that long ball in his locker, but you know, they've got players that can play longer balls, and you may see them trying to play over the top of Mikalenko and Coleman, because they've got that pace to do that, getting behind. But that equally adds opportunities for us, because if we can hit them on the counter quickly, we're in at the back two, back three quite fast. So I do think we need to have some pace in this side for this game. I think it's really key that we have pace. For me, Demarai Gray starts. I play 4-4-2. And I know that sounds weird, but I think if you're going to have someone like Ellie Sims, somebody needs to play off him. So my team is as follows. Jordan Pickford in goal. Ben Godfrey left back. Tarkowski centre half. Mina centre half. Coleman at right back. My two in the middle are Anana and Garner. I play Iwobi on the right, Dwight McNeil on the left, Demarai Gray and Ellie Sims up front. Because I think, although I don't think Ellie Sims is ready, I think he's a better option than Morpay. And I also think that if he's got Demarai Gray milling in around him, it might just give him a bit more confidence to be that sort of target man, but take the pressure off him trying to break the lines, trying to create space and trying to get the shots off, because we know Demarai Gray will shoot on sight, and we need that against the Leeds side. Meslier, or Menlier, I can't never pronounce his name, he is a decent keeper, but he's had a few moments this season where he's not looked as good as he can do. So you can start questioning that. Aylin's not getting any younger. Firpo has never been a great defender. And the two centre-halves, depending on who they are, Everton can definitely get at. And we know that because Leeds can see goals. So there's definitely a way that Everton can play through the channel. But I think it's got to be less of the sitting back in this game. You know, against Arsenal it worked because we had a Calvert-Lewin, we had a vocal point. I think in this game we've got to take it to Leeds a little bit, and that's why I changed the formation and go 4-4-2. I stick the two men up front, and you need to get Demarai Gray on the ball in front of the back four as much as possible, because if we're going to win the game, it's going to be through him. And I truly believe that. Score prediction, I'm going 2-1 Everton. If we lose this game, and I mean this, you cannot, as a football team, lose to Southampton at home, Wolves at home, Bournemouth away, only pick up a point against Forest at home, only pick up a point against West Ham at home. Or did we beat West Ham? No, I think we might beat West Ham. Pick up a point at Leeds away and deserve to stay up. It sounds awful. If we do not win this game, I actually don't even think we deserve to stay up. Because all them teams that I've just mentioned taking points off a tide that, yeah, don't get me wrong, we know we're not a good football team, we know we're poor, we know we've heavily invested 600 million for a complete waste of time. We all know that. We all know the board issues. But in terms of the manager and the playing team, they need to know how much this means to us, and they do know that, I think. But if they haven't got the quality to stay up, they haven't got the quality to stay up. And there's almost this season where there was a lot of Everton fans that were saying, we ain't going to go down. We're not going to go down. And in the end, we didn't. This season, I think there's more of an approach of, we might go down. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I'm not looking forward to it. I think it's going to be very nervous from both sides. Neither team's going to want to concede. Both teams, weirdly, are in similar situations. Their board have, in my opinion, had an absolute shit show in this appointment of a manager. Every manager they've approached has turned them down, or negotiations have broke down, etc. There's been comments regarding investment, etc. But, you know, they did sign players in January. They've got a manager in there who, I'm not going to disrespect him, but a few, 10 years, 15 years ago, whatever it was, this guy was a PE teacher and he's worked his way up to being a Premier League manager. Is he ready for that opportunity? Who knows? So you've got a Leeds fan base that aren't happy. I think if they lose to Everton and they go into this game that they've got at home to Southampton next, I think it will be toxic, and I think they'll know that, and I think they'll be nervous, and I think that can translate over to the players that are on the pitch. But Everton have got to win this game. It is that simple and that paramount. And then we have to not just win this game, we then have to take 3 points off Villa, because we could win this game, get a point against Villa, Leeds could lose this game and beat Southampton at home, and we're exactly in the situation that we started with. So Everton have to win. The next 5 games for Everton are pivotal. I think they need 10 points minimum. And there's at least 4 fixtures in there that we can get something. You know, Forest away, gettable, Brentford at home. You've got to hope for 3 points. They're playing well, but you've got to hope for 3 points. You know, Leeds have actually got, I think, a worse away record than us, but that hasn't stopped other teams coming to Goodison. You know, Nathan Jones' only win as Southampton manager, well, only Premier League win as Southampton manager was against Everton. Bournemouth's 2 wins in the last 12 was against Everton. You know, we started this run for Wolves. They were rock bottom, less points than us. They come to Everton, they win. So we really do need to stop messing about, book up our ideas and go and win this game. It's as simple as that. We can sugarcoat it, we can tactically analyse anything you want, but the facts are Everton simply have to win this game by hook, by crook, by whatever they want. They have to win. And if they don't, and if Leeds win, I think we're down. I think we're down. I think we have lost too many games at home to keep ourselves up, because I do think Leeds at some point have the quality to go on a run of form that will get them out of this. So Everton have to follow them. But that's my opinion. I'm leaving it there. Keep smiling, up the toffees. Peace.